with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12OutSports.com. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, happy and healthy holidays. I am Andrew Romanella. We got you for the next 25 minutes or so. We are sorry for the delay on the start. A little bit of technical difficulties as we got going with the show this morning. If I sound a little nasally, a little raspy today, it's just because the Christmas holiday. It has been 5 or 6 straight days of straight Christmas celebration. So the voice, the body, as most people know, take a little bit of a hit, but that did not stop us from getting here and doing the Rome Show. This morning, follow us on social media, the Rome Show 1, Instagram, Twitter, or X, Facebook, TikTok, whatever you want to follow us on. 12ozsports.com is the mothership. And the most important people you will follow. Go there on YouTube, go there on X, and you can comment on the show live, and we can have a little bit of fun and we can chat. We got a good one for you today. We had football on a Wednesday. Christmas. So Christmas Day football and Christmas Day basketball. We'll get into both football games. We'll give you a rundown on how the basketball went on Christmas Day. There's also Thursday night football tonight, and then just so much more to talk about, which we will do throughout this entire day. Comment, talk to us, let us know your thoughts. Let's start with the Chiefs at the Steelers, Christmas Day on a Wednesday. And here are the highlights from that game, which saw the Chiefs win 29-10, saw Patrick Mahomes have quite possibly his best game of the season. The Chiefs win a game by more than one score, and Travis Kelce became the Chiefs' all-time touchdown scorer with 8 receptions, 84 yards, and a TD. Check your screen now. This is how stupid, in my opinion, the National Football League is, okay? A bunch of years back, the National Football League changed the rules when getting into the end zone about celebration. Any celebration used to be a 15-yard flag for unsportsmanlike conduct. The NFL came together, said, hey, you know what? I think it'd be better suiting our fans, our young fans more specifically, that we should let them celebrate in the end zone. It'll bring more flair to the game, it'll bring more fun, X, Y, and Z. So the National Football League has been allowing players to celebrate in the end zone for like the last 5 or 6 years, okay? So I say all that to say this. We're watching that game yesterday. Travis Kelce scores the touchdown to be the Chiefs' all-time touchdown receiving leader, goes to the goalpost and slams the basketball down through the goalpost like it's a basketball hoop, and proceeds to get a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct flag. Now, I need to understand something here, National Football League. And if you want, we can call this a straight off the road. I need to understand something here, National Football League. How is it that a defensive player can intercept the football, let's call it on the 5-yard line of the opposing team's red zone? So they're 95 yards away from the end zone that they need to score in. Guy intercepts the football, runs it back 15 or 20 yards to the 30, out of bounds, and then proceeds to run from that 30-yard line all the way to the end zone with his entire defense. So the entire 11-man units now run the 70 yards down the field. Then they land and they pose for a photo. They're on the ground. They're throwing the ball. How is that legal? That's not a 15-yard penalty, delay a game, nothing. But Travis Kelce scores a touchdown and dunks the football. 15-yard penalty. How? I just don't understand. So my straight off the Rome today just comes from the stupidity that sometimes exists. And it's probably not just football. It's probably every sport. But that is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen and heard of. Some of the celebrating that goes on in this sport is so ridiculous, and Travis Kelce probably did the most simple of celebrations and 15-yard penalty. What? But the problem is that NFL can do whatever they want, okay? You can play games on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which they've done this year, by the way. The only day of the week the National Football League has not played this year, Tuesday. We are on a National Football League game every single day of the week so far this year. And I don't like it. I think it's stupid. I love the National Football League. Don't get me wrong. I am an avid, let me stay home on Sunday, throw the Red Zone channel on, and I want to watch every football game that I can. I am an avid that person, okay? But playing football games on Wednesday and Friday and Saturday, it's ridiculous. It's like, is it that smart? Is it that good of an idea? Like, I watched those two games yesterday. Both were atrocious. The Ravens won 31-2, and the Chiefs won 29-10. No. Do I think the Steelers are that bad? No. Do I think the Texans are 29 points worse than the Ravens? Absolutely not. But do I think teams that played 3 games in 11 days, Saturday and then Wednesday, when their entire career exists on Saturday, Sunday, or Monday with a sprinkle in of Thursday? That's their whole... You leave high school football with which you play games every Friday. Then you go to college with which you play games every Saturday. Then you go to the National Football League with which you play games every Sunday, maybe one on a Monday, and maybe one on a Thursday. That is what you're prepared for. In a sport where we have changed the rules dramatically as the sport continues to develop because of injury. Because it's so easy to get hurt in this sport, we can't compromise the bodies. It's a sport that originally was designed as 6 full days off in between each game, but not now. Not when it comes to making money. Because on Saturday, your game might end at 5 p.m. I need you playing at 12 o'clock on Wednesday. What? I haven't played a Wednesday football game in the history of my lifetime. It's not healthy. Personally, it's not fun, at least from a fanship standpoint. And all you're doing is watching injury after injury after injury. Can't happen. We need to nixay the Wednesday crap, nixay the Friday, and for the history of time, the National Football League, the last 2 weekends of the year, we talked about this on Monday, have gone with Saturday that last 2 weekends, okay, when college football subsides, I should say. And the problem here is, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the statistics from the weekend in college football, all right, the NFL went up against college football directly last weekend, okay? On Friday, Notre Dame played, and there was no National Football League game. And on Saturday night, okay, Tennessee and Ohio State played, and there was no National Football League game. Listen to these numbers, okay? Because I would argue that people think that college football in a lot of areas of this world is probably more important than the National Football League. But listen to these numbers. The playoff game between SMU and Penn State Saturday morning going up against the National Football League averaged 6.4 million viewers, okay? The Texans and the Chiefs played at that same time on Saturday. They averaged 15.5 million viewers, okay? Later, Texas played Clemson at 4:25 or something like that. They drew 8.6 million viewers. At the exact same time, the Steelers played the Ravens, and they drew 15.4 million viewers, okay? Indiana played Notre Dame Friday night. No National Football League game to go up against. And Tennessee, Ohio State played Saturday night with no National Football League game to go up against. On Friday night, the Notre Dame-Indiana game got 13.4 million viewers. And on Saturday night, the Tennessee-Ohio State game got an average of 14.3 million viewers. So it is clear and obvious to the nth degree that the National Football League is the greatest viewing sport in America. Hands down, bottom line. It's the National Football League, then it's probably college football. Then you might entertain a professional sport there. I'd probably say if you're going pro football and college football as the top two, I don't know, man. Would it be basketball over baseball over hockey? I'll have to look those numbers up. But that proves my point right there, that it's so hard to even figure out who's in third because the first two run away with it. I bet it's actually pro football, college football, college basketball, then probably the National Basketball Association or baseball. The game of football has a monopoly on the viewership of this country, but the National Football League does. Because the fact that they feel they can make money playing a game on a Wednesday, Christmas Day, playing a game on a Friday, Black Friday, playing another game on a Friday, Philadelphia Eagles open their season in a different country, monopolizing Saturday when college football is over, already stealing Sundays and pretty much Mondays from everybody, now Thursdays. I believe it's too much. And yesterday, I actually found myself annoyed that there was National Football League games on. Like Thanksgiving, holiday, we just sit, we eat, easier to watch football. Christmas? Like Christmas is like a legitimate holiday where you're like doing things, at least in my family. So I think the National Football League, so be it, understood. You want to make as much money as possible. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. You want to keep making more. I get it. But there's something called too much. Sensory overload. And I think we're getting that from the National Football League right now. I want to play you one more video before we take our quick break. And it's Mike Tomlin on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Blunt, not the type of ball we want to play, and really kind of eerily similar to our last performance in that we're not doing the fundamental things well enough. We're turning the ball over. We're not getting turnovers, and that hadn't been a recipe for us, but it has been of late. You're -2 or whatever we were in this game, man. You're not giving yourself a chance, particularly turning the ball over in the red zone. We're not going to continue to do the same things and hope for a different result. That doesn't seem sharp to me, and so we're going to take a hard look at this. We got a couple extra days before we get back into it. We're going to take a look at it and make whatever necessary changes we need to make in the totality of this thing, because again, that doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good. And that's just the truth and reality of it.
Truth and reality is that Mike Tomlin has a team right now that is significantly underperforming in the last 3 weeks comparative to where they have been. And I want to take a look at the numbers from Russell Wilson, because I think a lot of people are going to assume when he says we got to take a long, hard look at this thing and we got to make some decision. Everybody's assumption is the quarterback position, because if we remember, Russell Wilson did not start the year as the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers came out and they won 4 in a row. Okay. And now the first 3 games were quarterbacked by Justin Fields, and then 3 in a row, And then comes Russell Wilson. And the Steelers didn't really lose a beat. Okay. With Russell at the helm as a starter this year, they are 6-4. Okay. They won their first 4 with Russell at the helm. But the problem is they've lost their last 3, and their offense has scored 13, 17, and 10. Now, they played the Philadelphia Eagles, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Kansas City Chiefs. Presumably 3 of 5 or 6 maybe teams in the National Football League that if you believe you're going to be a Super Bowl contender, you're going to have to meet up with at some point in time. So there is a little leeway there, but in those games combined, Russell Wilson has thrown for 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a total of 545 yards. So he is not blowing up the stat line by any stretch of the imagination. And the offense, 1, the fact that they can't run the football with Najee Harris, and 2, now don't really have a great passing game, has really started to sputter. And I wonder what's going to happen going into next week. The Steelers, they're going to face the Bengals. So they're going to get an off week and then the Bengals to finish their season. So they only have one more game remaining in the season. If you're wondering about the standings, very interesting here. So much to do coming up this weekend. In the AFC, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Colts, and the Dolphins and Bengals all still technically have a chance. Those bottom three teams need to hope that the Broncos and the Chargers both lose out. Okay, we'll go over that a little bit more tomorrow, during our Friday football festivities. In the National Football Conference, Seattle, Tampa Bay, and Washington are fighting for those last three playoff spots, with the Falcons and the Buccaneers essentially having the best chance to win their division, as long as the Seahawks and then the Rams, who are leading that division at 9-6, but still could lose it to the Seahawks and then not make the playoffs. So much to do in the National Football League coming up over the next few days. It's very, very exciting, at least from my standpoint. If you were wondering, the Ravens slaughtered last night the Texans 31-2. CJ Stroud was absolutely terrible. He tweeted out yesterday that could have been the worst game of my career. Lamar Jackson became the all-time leading rusher in the National Football League with 6,110 rushing yards, passing Michael Vick all-time on the QB rush list. And then Derrick Henry became one of, I think it's 8. I could be wrong. One of the top essentially 10 running backs of all time, not just because we know that, but with his numbers. He ran for his over 11,000th yard in the National Football League in 103 games, which is a prestigious list that not many are on. And then on top of that, scored his 16th rushing touchdown of the year, which is a new Baltimore Ravens single season record. So, a plethora of records day for the Ravens, and I think Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry both solidify themselves as should be most valuable players in the National Football League this year, going up against Josh Allen. I think you're getting Josh Allen, you're getting Lamar Jackson, or you're getting Derrick Henry as the most valuable players. I'm wondering if the Tennessee Titans are sitting there going, rebuild, should we have just kept this guy? Maybe we could have won 3 or 4 more games this year just with this guy alone. So, needless to say, Derrick Henry loves his signing in Baltimore, and it's looking really good for the Ravens. Tonight, we have the Seahawks at the Bears, which we will break down in a hot minute. I just want to shift gears real fast before we finish the show, and I want to give you a rundown on the Christmas Day basketball from yesterday in the NBA, which I thought was actually really awesome, okay? And here's why. On this show, we talk a lot about what sports are doing to engage the next level of fan that they have, okay? And really, that just comes down to the younger demographic. How are you going to grow the game to the point where you can continue to take an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old and know that they'll be a fan for life? How do you do that? Especially in today's day and age when each sport is dealing with their own problems. Baseball's boring, too slow, too many strikeouts, too many home runs, right? Basketball, no one cares about the regular season. They shoot too many threes. It's not that exciting of a game anymore, okay? In the National Hockey League, it just is slightly behind everybody in terms of its development of popularity, but that is slowly changing, right? Every sport, you could probably pinpoint something and say, this is something that we need to look at and possibly change for this sport. In the National Basketball Association, this has been a conversation that has been apparent for the last 5 to 7 years. They added the NBA in-season tournament. They changed the rules on resting players. They've done so much to try and adjust this problem in the NBA. So some other things that they did was adding Christmas Day basketball games. Now, for the last 10 or 12 years, I've been watching the NBA on Christmas Day. Go back to the old school commercial with KD and LeBron and Steph, and they're shooting the threes, and I think they're playing Jingle Bells every time they make one or something like that. Go back to that. Let's call it 12 years ago, or about around that time. The NBA tried to monopolize Christmas Day, which is also what annoys me about the National Football League. Like relax, bro. You have enough days of the week. We can give Christmas Day to basketball. Well, yesterday, the NBA took a play out of the NFL's playbook, and they had Disney playing the game with the Disney characters, like we watched Bart Simpson and Homer Simpson for the Bengals and somebody else in the National Football League. Last year, it was a SpongeBob broadcast. Now, basketball shifted it to Disney. They were on, just go to the Rome Show 1 on X. I retweeted everything so all my fans could see it. It was awesome, okay? Daisy Duck was interviewing people. That is what every sport needs to continue to do. So I wanted to suggest this to Major League Baseball because watching the NBA last night and seeing how enjoyable it was, and I enjoyed all the games. Like, the games were really good last night in the NBA, but I thought the side broadcast for the kids and the idea of the creativity was so much cooler than anything else. So you need to go to Rome Show 1 on X, and you need to check it out because it is really cool. And I want Major League Baseball to listen up here, okay? Because if you're Major League Baseball and you want to keep trying to do things to grow this game and make it more entertaining, backyard baseball. Backyard baseball broadcast, okay? We don't need a Manning cast, okay? We don't need an NHL all day where we go see every game. We need backyard baseball. We need to turn every time it's Wednesday Night Baseball on ESPN, ESPN2 should be a broadcast of backyard baseball. It is the most popular baseball game anyone can think of, okay? If you are in the realm of my generation, I think that's a millennial, backyard baseball is a staple. It was a PC game. You're playing on the gateway. I'm waiting for the dial-up internet to go. I can't wait. I got Pablo on, Pete Wheeler, fastest guy on there, Kenny Kawaguchi. Backyard baseball is the bomb. Like, I've never met a person that didn't like backyard baseball. They had the whole backyard sports franchise, football, soccer, base. I think I played tennis on one of them. Backyard baseball broadcast. That's what Major League Baseball needs to do. Take a page out of the NBA, take a page out of the NFL. I, as a 34-year-old adult, thinks this is awesome. I can't imagine showing your 8 or your 9-year-old child. And then, by the way, double up with a baseball game. Let's bring backyard baseball back. Let's bring it back for PlayStation 5, for Xbox. Somehow you can download it on your computer. Let's bring it back. But what I saw yesterday from the NBA and what I've seen from the NFL, stuff like that, you really need to do to try and continue to engage that younger generation. The Knicks, they beat the Spurs last night, 117-114. Victor Wembanyama had 42, 18, and 4 blocks, but it wasn't enough because Mikal Bridges had 41. Cat made some big shots down the stretch, and the Knicks outscored the Spurs in the second half by essentially 10 to take the lead, 117-114. They've now won 5 straight. The Timberwolves, they ended their 3-game losing streak, led by Julius Randle's double-double, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. The Mavericks only scored 99. Luka Doncic got hurt. Not good for the Mavericks. He might be out for an extended period of time, which is something interesting to look at as we go on with the rest of the year. The 76ers won a big game. Joel Embiid played in this game, but Tyrese Maxey was the story. 33 points, 12 assists, 3 steals. Boston's now lost 2 straight. They moved to 22-8. Tatum at 32 and 15 in this game. It's not a fully well-rounded game for Boston. I think that happens. It's your 30th and 31st game of the year. You won the NBA Finals last year. You're the 2nd seed in the East. You're presumably going back to the playoffs. This is the problem probably with the NBA. It's really hard to get up for this game if you're a player knowing you have so much more to do as the season goes on. The Lakers, they defeat the Warriors. They held the Warriors off in a fourth quarter comeback, 115-113. The 2 names at the top of the score sheet you'd expect to be at the top of the score sheet are there. LeBron James, 31 points and 10 assists. Steph Curry, 38 points and 6 assists. The Lakers are now 17-13. The Warriors are 15-14. And both teams are going to be fighting all year for a playoff spot. And then the late night, you probably didn't watch it because it was on the West Coast unless you're a West Coast person. The Suns 110, the Nuggets 100. 2 teams that are underperforming. Suns 15-14, the Nuggets 16-12, but Joker showed up 25-15, and KD 27-6 to round off your Christmas Day NBA slate. Now let's get into the final segment of the show, one of our favorites all time. It is your Daily Bananas.
Ba 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 banana. Ba 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 banana. Oh, ba 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 banana.
All right. Let's finish it here. We're picking Thursday night football tonight. I had an elite Monday night football pick, by the way. 171 and 30, 138. So 173 and 140 heading into Monday night's picks. And I went 3-0. Yeah, that's right. You heard that right. 3-0. I took Green Bay at the minus 14. They didn't even give up a point to the Saints. They won 28-0. I had Jordan Love with a touchdown, nailed it, and Josh Jacobs with a touchdown, nailed it, 3-0. And I also told you to couple those. I said make that a why am I drawing a blank here? Make it a superset, I wanted to say. Make it a parlay and put them together, and you would have won your money. Let's finish. I got Seattle Seahawks 8-7. Chicago Bears 4-11. The Bears are an absolute mess. Their offense is terrible. Caleb Williams doesn't look like he's the number one overall pick. You don't have a head coach. Probably not going to have a GM. I think Ryan Poles going to get fired. Seattle, though, struggling. Fighting for their playoff lives. Probably not as good as we thought they were when they started 4-0. But they're 5-1 on the road. Okay, they're 5-1 on the road. But the flip side of that is the Bears have won 4 games all year, and all 4 of them are at home. Right now, Seattle's favored by 4.5. It opened at 3.5, but people are really starting to believe in the Seahawks. I'll take Seattle at the minus 4.5. I just don't think the Bears have enough. Okay, Seattle is struggling in the run game. Kenneth Walker's out, so Chardonnay is going to have to do it there. Geno Smith has been okay. 1 too many turnovers, 15 on the year compared to 17 touchdowns. He's got to limit that. Okay, Jackson Smith and Jigba is the new number 1 in Seattle. So give me Seattle at the minus 4.5. Give me Smith and Jigba over 70 receiving yards. Okay, and give me Smith and Jigba with a touchdown. So I'm going to take 2 for Smith and Jigba, 1 touchdown over 70 plus receiving yards, and I'll take Seattle at the minus 4.5. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what we're going to call the Rome Show here on a Thursday, the day after Christmas. Like I said to start the show, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, happy and healthy holidays. We hope you're loving the Rome Show as much as we do. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. to break down all the weekend football and all the weekend sports action. Head to RomeShowShop.com and get your post-Christmas gifts because you didn't like what you got under the tree. RomeShowShop.com has you covered. Follow 12OZ Sports. Follow the Rome Show. All the social medias. And until tomorrow morning, this is Andrew Romanella saying peace.
Thank you for listening.